All righty, good morning. Thank you for joining us today for the School Alternative Fuel Program webinar. Today, before we begin, I have a couple of housekeeping items for you. If you're interested in receiving a certificate of participation for today's webinar, you need to individually register and then log in and log out. This provides us with a login and log out time and a digital documentation of your attendance. You'll receive additional information on how to request this at the end of the webinar. The webinar is being recorded for your convenience. If after the webinar is completed and you will receive an email from us indicating when the webinar recording is available, please feel free to share this with your colleagues and friends. If you have a question during the course of this webinar, please use the question feature located on the lower right side of your screen at any time. Responses will be provided at the end of the webinar. It's at this time that I'd like to welcome our guest today, Jean Stevenson, Grants and Program Administrator for the Commission, and Andrew Conley, who is a Program Director for Clean Fuels Ohio. Welcome to today's webinar.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sue. Good morning and welcome. My name is Jean Stevenson, as Sue mentioned, Grants and Procurement Administrator for OFCC, and we appreciate you joining us today. This program was officially launched on March 6th, and we are here to outline the program requirements for you and to give you some information on how you can participate. During today's webinar, we're going to be exploring these 6 areas: Ohio and industry perspective on alternative fuel solutions, the law and your eligibility, alternative fuel contracting project cycle, the timeline, resources, and then we will conclude with your questions. So first on today's agenda is Ohio and industry's perspective on alternative fuel solutions, and I will turn it over to Andrew Conley from Clean Fuels Ohio. Welcome, Andrew.
Thank you, Jean, and thank you for the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission hosting this informative webinar. Just a quick introduction to Clean Fuels Ohio. We are a statewide nonprofit focused on clean transportation, energy efficiency, and alternative fuels. We are fuel and technology neutral, and our goal is to help fleets understand the options that are available to them in the market and the ways that those options will benefit both their economic and environmental bottom line. So in terms of the school bus market, there are a number of technologies currently available across multiple fuel and efficiency platforms, and with the right drive and duty cycle, a number of those technologies will return both economic benefits and environmental benefits. So we're excited about the opportunities in this market in general and the ways that this program will help schools deploy those technologies. In terms of sustainable framework for fleets, obviously there's no one size fits all. It's really about setting your own goals and priorities, evaluating your data, analyzing the options that work best for you. Clean Fuels Ohio has helped numerous public fleets and a number of school districts across the state do that, and are happy to continue to work with school districts as part of our nonprofit mission. And these same goals are basically the steps that Jean will go over in this program. So again, we're fuel and technology neutral, so that our goal is to help fleets understand just what their options are, what the costs and benefits are. Happy to work with folks to answer questions during today's webinar, as well as on an ongoing basis. Feel free to contact our office with questions or requests for more information. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Andrew. And that completes our discussion of our first agenda topic. Next up, we'll review the new law and school eligibility in the program. So in July of 2017, House Bill 49 was passed that allows school districts to include alternative fuel vehicles and infrastructure into the school performance contracting program. That program is known as House Bill 264. This House Bill 49 became law on September 28th of 2017. If you're interested in finding out more background information on the school performance contracting program in general, visit the OFCC website at ofcc.ohio.gov. You can select services and programs and then energy services. As Andrew stated before, there are a number of alternative fuels available today that are replacing conventional fuels like diesel or gasoline. In this program, Ohio school districts can finance alternative fuel improvements to their transportation fleet or facilities and use any savings to pay for those improvements. Alternative fuels such as propane, compressed natural gas, hydrogen, clean diesel technologies, plug-in hybrid and electric, and biofuels provide health, sustainability, and environmental benefits over conventional fuels. An eligible applicant for this program is a Board of Education of a city, exempted village, local, or joint vocational district. School districts in academic distress, fiscal watch, or fiscal emergency can also apply under the program under certain conditions, and they are outlined in the law. An eligible project is any project that uses alternative fuels and any that pay for themselves out of fuel and operational savings over a 5-year period. Eligible project expenses include vehicle conversions, the incremental costs of alternative fuel versions of new vehicles, fueling infrastructure, project financing, and annual reporting. Next on our agenda, we'll break down the alternative fuel contracting project cycle. The graphic demonstrated here shows you the steps that a project will go through under the program, starting with the district's interest in pursuing an alternative fuel project. The district's first 3 steps are indicated in blue: selecting a vendor, producing a technical report, and the school district board's review and approval of that report. Any vendor or vendors for the proposed project can be selected through competitive selection or a waiver of competitive selection. The person or firm hired by the school district can assist them with the alternative fuel project, and they must be experienced in student transportation. The technical report that the hired person or firm will produce will include an analysis and recommendation for the school's use of alternative fuel vehicles. It shall include estimates of all costs, including facility modifications, vehicle costs, return on investment, and environmental impact of the project. The board's review of the report will include the project's likelihood that it will pay for itself out of savings within 5 years. The board will approve the project through a board resolution and submit the project to OFCC requesting approval to incur indebtedness to finance the project. School districts do not have to seek voter approval for projects funded under this program. So that concludes the first 3 steps of the contracting life cycle. The next 2 steps are the submission of the project to OFCC for our review and approval. The proposal submittal guideline and application is available for you on the OFCC website. It contains fields that can be edited with the school's specific project information, including the project summary, the project's cash flow projections, any calculations that were used, and any assumptions that were made about the project. Once reviewed and approved, OFCC will send a letter to the school board authorizing the school to proceed with the proposed project. And this concludes the OFCC review and approval steps. And the final 2 steps in the contracting life cycle include the actual vehicle conversions or the facility modifications or any construction related to it, and the annual reporting once the project or projects are complete. Please keep in mind that all projects under this program will require a contract between the vendor or vendors and the school district. The school district will be responsible for administering any of the projects. The annual reporting requirement includes the school district's responsibility for monitoring the project's operation. It must report annually to OFCC any maintenance savings. That report needs to be certified by the school district treasurer, and that reporting must be continued as long as debt for the project is outstanding. Next up is our timeline. So as I mentioned earlier, we launched the program on March 6th of 2018. We do have an informational brochure, the proposal guideline and application, and a sample board resolution available for you on the ofcc.ohio.gov website. To navigate to these documents from the OFCC homepage, again, select Services and Programs, Energy Services, and then the School Alternative Fuel Program webpage. Eligible school districts were notified of the program on March 6th and were invited to today's webinar, so thank you for joining us. Once again, this is an ongoing program and it does not have a specific end date. Next on our agenda, we'll discuss the resources that are available for the program. Here is the program webpage and the link to access it directly. The program brochure, which I referenced earlier, can be downloaded and printed. The proposal guideline and application is available for you. Once again, you can add all of your project-specific information into the fields within the document. It is a short and concise document of only 4 pages. And finally, here is the sample resolution. This sample contains all of the sections referenced in the law. Your school district is invited to use this sample language when seeking your board's approval of your project. This concludes the discussion on program resources, and now I will turn it over to Sue for any questions that you might have.
All right, thank you, Jean. Just as a quick reminder before we go to the question portion of today's webinar, if you're interested in receiving a certificate of participation, you will have needed to have individually registered and individually logged in and logged out. This provides a digital documentation for us. We'll be happy to issue credit or a certificate of participation if you attend the entire webinar, including the question and answer section. You can email me at sue.meyer@occ.ohio.gov to request your certificate of participation. So let's move on to the questions today. The first question, will the money to be bonded be the total cost of the vehicles or just the incremental cost?
Yes, I can answer that one, Sue. So OFCC approval will allow the district to incur the indebtedness for the project without voter approval, and that is for incremental costs only. If the district wished to borrow more than that amount, it would need a different authorization or a different funding source that did not require debt financing.
Thank you. Second question, how is the project financing arranged under this program?
So financing will be up to the school district to arrange. OFCC would not be involved in this except in authorizing the district to incur indebtedness without voter approval for eligible project costs.
Next question, in what format are applications and resolutions to be submitted to OFCC for review and approval?
Yes, so all of the documentation that I mentioned earlier can be emailed directly to me at jean.stevenson@ofcc.ohio.gov. You can send those with your email in PDF attachments, and that would be our preferred submission method. Of course, you could always mail those if you wish to.
Thank you. Next question, will training for mechanics and technicians be covered by the program?
If training is and looked at as an incidental cost associated with the installation, then it would be possible that they could be included. But in general, the covered costs are going to be hard costs, such as capital equipment with the useful life for at least 5 years.
Next question, will a formal study be required to be eligible for the program?
Yes, a study by a person or firm experienced in student transportation would be required, and that is outlined in the law.
We have one more question. Can a district apply for grant funding from other entities to speed up the return on investment?
Yeah, I can answer that. According to the guidelines of the program, that would be eligible. So, there are programs from the Ohio EPA expected in the next several years, including the Diesel Emission Reduction Grant and the Volkswagen Settlement Grant that will pay for incremental costs of alternative fuel vehicles. So that would certainly reduce the indebtedness that's occurred under this project and speed up the return on investment. So that would be eligible.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much. That ends the questions for today. Just as a reminder, you can here is some additional contact information, but if you're looking for credit for today's webinar, please send an email to sue.meyer@occ.ohio.gov. And we'd like to thank you for participating today. We appreciate that you took time out of your day to join us, and look for an email from us soon announcing additional webinars. Thank you.